Hey everyone, what's happening? I'm Turf Alexius, and welcome to our first Q&A for Due Diligence Pro. I'm the founder of Tax Office AI. We got a fun moment packed for you for today. My team was struggling. A little bit of backstory. Wow, folks, we're going to wait for people to come on before we jump into any kind of Q&A and demonstration. But I want to have a moment just to have a Q&A conversation about Due Diligence Pro, how it came to be, any questions that you have about it as well, too, we're able to address. So we're going to let some folks come on before we start diving in. And this is when the music usually cues up for that as well, too, right? So the motivation for Due Diligence Pro. So full disclosure, in addition to being the founder of Tax Office AI, I have tax offices as well, which is how all these things came to be. And I saw my team just, the due diligence process just is layered because you want to make sure that you really get to know your clients, right? Make sure that you ask all the follow-up questions, not just the check the box questions, but all the follow-up questions that are crucial for getting to know your client. So with my team going through that, I'm seeing the time that it takes, depending on complexity, right? Number of children you have, number of dependents you have, the time it takes to complete the due diligence form, it's astronomical. So I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So we started digging. I started digging and talking to my developers and working through this. And then finally, Due Diligence Pro was born. And so I'm going to show you today how it came to be. I'll walk you through the process of actually going through an attestation to support your EITC claim, which is the ones that have the highest probability of audits, the EITC and CTC and head of household filing status claims. So let's dive in while folks will catch up on the questions as they come through. So we're going to share my screen and dive right into, we're going to skip all the dashboard stuff, go right into creating an actual attestation for somebody on that side of it. All right, jumping right in, we're going to skip the dashboard, go right into creating one for a client. As you know, when you complete the 8867, you have the credits that are claimed, high ones that are required for this form. We're going to check off the EIC, CTC, and ACTC, typical ones, right? Default into 2025 tax year, and we'll do head of household. And for this one, taxpayer's name is going to be Little Richard. SSN. Now, marital status related to this person, and they've single, never married. So who's the qualifying person? So for Little Richard, it's going to be Big Richard. Big Richard is his son, lived in the house with him 11 months. And it's also going to add Big Richard as a qualifying child. Automatically see that the attestation is populating on the right side of here as well. Household, we did select head of household, the household cost verification. We're going to say contributed 97%. If we do 45%, it's telling you that has to be above 50%. So let's do 97% just so we have numbers to work off here. If you have the total household expenses from your interview, you can put that here as well. But Little Richard does not own. So as we interview our client, of course, we're going to ask him, is the lease on their name? Document that. Gas, electric, utilities, items that are on their name, you would list that here. If this was somebody who actually owns a property, you probably would have the property tax statements for claiming as well. Mortgage, right? Groceries, food, home insurance are the items that you typically would have depending on your scenario. Because we did 97%, the question, did you pay more than half the cost, is automatically selected for us, right? If we do 45% in this situation, you're going to see the question, the head of household interview questions becomes something that has to be completed. So we'll go back to our 97%. Any additional notes that you want to put here? That lease is valid. You can do additional notes here as well, too, related to those qualifications. Now, Big Richard, the son, Big Richard, it says 10 years old, so these are not applicable here. But now we have to have the verification documentation, right? How do we know that Big Richard is related to Little Richard? And in this case, we have a birth certificate, typical item, um, for the relationship, making sure that Little Richard is indeed the father to Big Richard. Kind of reverse, but I love it. And then the age, right? Making sure this is a qualifying child for these for the credits that we're claiming. So birth certificates in this situation. And so how do we know that Big Richard actually lives with Little Richard? Again, we usually check for perhaps medical card. Is Big Richard on the lease? School records, report cards, item that state and show where the child is living. So we could do those here. How do we verify the Social Security? So we have an actual copy of the Social Security card. And then pick the social. And of course, the social has to be valid, right? Valid for employment. So we're going to check this box here for SSN is valid for employment. Or if it wasn't the SSN card, we can say we have a letter from social office, right? Social Security Administration office. Administration. And then if you have this child was a custody or separated parents, then you have additional questions that you can indicate to continue with that. If you had additional qualifying children to add more qualifying children. If you have information like, okay, so this person is never been married, but obviously there's usually another parent involved, right? So other parent information. Is this other parent living in the house elsewhere? What's going on here? So other parent location lives in Nashville. So now we know this, we don't have any tiebreaker issues, right? Lives in Nashville. We know that the child's living 11 months. Other parent's income, they're unemployed. And this has qualifying relative. This is if that qualifying person that allowed them to file as head of household did not was not a child, then this is where the qualifying relative would come into play here. Now, questions related to this child, right? Universal questions. How many months each qualifying child live with you? These just not just check the box, making sure that we actually interview our questions, right? Our client. So 11 months, right? Okay, then additional context. It was from February through December. So this proves that we actually having a conversation and interviewing our client. Does any qualifying child have an ITIN instead of SSN? Again, these are questions to make sure that we indeed qualify for the credits that we're claiming. In this case, no. Now, questions related to EITC. Qualifying child, we automatically selected for the EITC for Big Richard. And if it's not, you would uncheck it. But because we had the valid social and if we knew that going in that Big Richard qualified for EITC, so this is related to that as well. And part of interviewing our clients is making sure, how do we capture the income? How do we substantiate that W-2 is valid? All those things to make sure that they actually qualify. So this one has a Costco National, and then the W-2 was $34,000. So taxpayer and spouse, EITC was not allowed to reduce. All qualifying children have valid. Beautiful there. In interview questions, could anyone else claim them as dependents, right? No. Investment income? No. ITIN? No. Everyone has valid SSN. And then EITC been disallowed? No, they have not. So again, now we've taken care of that section. Now we're down to CTC. We check marked on the very top that this dependent qualify for CTC and ACTC, right? So then additional questions. Are they all under 17? Yes, indeed. And you see, as I'm completing this, the attestation is happening on the right side automatically in real time. All qualifying children, yes, indeed they are. We verified the social. Nobody's filing a joint return. And did they provide more than half of their own support? No, they did not. Big Richard's not working at all. So then if you had self-employment related to this, not a W-2, this is where you can substantiate how did you gather the income, right? What type of work? Maybe rideshare. What type of work was involved? Business location, same as home, or different the addresses the business is located. Do they have a business license? How do we substantiate this is indeed a legitimate business if this were a business self-employed related? Not required, or has a bank account, right? Or doesn't have one? Why don't they have one? How do we substantiate the income and expenses? Do they provide a profit and loss? Are they keeping their books? These are kind of items you can check off here and then provide a summary of expenses and 1099. But we're going to uncheck this because little Richard is a W-2 employee. And then additional documentation just to make sure we've rounded out with our substantiation documents. So we have the lease again, and then the utility bills for that, and for the school records we have for the report card to substantiate what's happening there. If we had additional elements we want to add, right? We have templates predefined for you. Say we want to say, you know what, school records, enrollments, you can have it pre-filled here for you to just add in additional details related to the school. Or if we want to do medical record summary, that we have the Aetna, the Saint Hospital that refers, that shows you where the child's living and the date of birth, matching the address, right, for residency related there. Or you can also have multiple documents and healthcare and related, and these templates automatically are here for you to adapt. Again, the same for utilities and lease. And if you have additional else, maybe this is prior year reviewed, right, for consistency. Additional templates. Hey, nothing's changed from last year. It's the same. Little Richard claim, Big Richard, same employer. I know them, same address. They haven't moved. These are proven that you indeed interviewed your clients, right? And then these templates increase here. If there's a change in income, you have a justification that you can adapt here for that as well too. Automatically there for you. Custody or dependent change, or first-time filer, no prior. How come? Do I know this person? How do I know them? I don't know them. All the details you can add. Or if there's something unusual that you want to make sure that you show that you indeed interviewed and got to know your client, you can put those here. And as you see, as we're working through this, you have your indicator here that's showing this is indeed 100%. And so if we come back up to the top here, we're going to review and complete. We checked all our passes. We're going to mark this as complete. And then we're going to export the PDF. Export the PDF. I'm going to open the PDF for us here in a minute. I'm going to change the share for a second. And I'm going to share with you the PDF that we've exported. Now you see this is the PDF that we exported together here. You have the due diligence, Little Richard, details, credit claim, qualifying children, questions related to EIC, CTC, interview questions, head of household, prepare certification can come in here as well too. And you can save this and attach it to the client's file. We'll go back to our screen again. So now you have Little Richard here if you need to retrieve it. So if you have data entry or other people who are starting the file, they can retrieve it and continue working on there for you. You can print a checklist as well related to this. These are the interview questions that took place. And all this is saved here for the following year for you to have it again. So for you to be able to retrieve it, and everything is saved by the last 4 and automatically can retrieve it and update it as the year goes from time to time. And then there's a dashboard related to this. So you have filtering as well too. Based on Office Manager, you can have all preparers see each other's items, or you can have it segmented, only assign data. You get to decide how you want your team to be managed. And the attestation back over here, you have a history of all this one from the sessions. You can filter in by preparer, who's assigned to, and just like that, you have your attestation that's completed. Designed to make sure that you are in full compliance and that you're making sure you get to know your clients as you're working through these high audit credits, we like to refer to them as. Make sure we get to know our clients, but also documentation is crucial. So that way you're in full compliance with the requirements the IRS places on you, but also so you can sleep at night and also have your preparers have a systematic way of handling this without additional stress. And it has built-in check systems in there as well too. So that is our Due Diligence Pro. I'm going to share the link here below too. We have a 7-day free trial for this as well. So that was a walkthrough of Due Diligence Pro. I'm using it in my offices. We have our tax office AI subscribers who are using it as well too, and getting there, and it's only going to get better. But the time it takes from doing due diligence, where it used to take 15 to 20, depending on how thorough you're actually supposed to be with your clients, now down to 4 to 5 minutes, depending on complexity. And the beautiful thing is the following year, repeat clients coming in, you get to load in the existing from prior and adapt it to the circumstances for the given year. And that'll give you the time, maybe you can cut in half. So you already documented the question, the client, the relationship's already established, right? The residency's already established. All those items are there, and you'll be able to fly through and sleep at night, knowing that your due diligence as required by the IRS is taken care of. Again, I am Turf Alexius, founder of Tax Office AI, and this is a walkthrough, a Q&A for Due Diligence Pro that's available now on our site. And I will actually share the link to our site so that you get a perspective of where that is as well for context. So this is the site, app.taxoffice.ai, and this is where you can go in and start your free trial and offer your feedback. Teams, the ones who are using it so far, are super excited the time that they're saving and knowing that compliance, knowing that due diligence is being handled smoothly and properly every single time. Thank you much. Thanks for tuning in. And this will be available for replay. So tune in, chime in with your questions, and hope to see you on the inside. Take care.